Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the North Pole City Council. Today is August 3rd, 2026. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Rolfe? Mr. Claus?
Here.
Mr. Skips?
Here.
Mr. Brandt?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Schuster?
Here.
Mayor Turch?
Present. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for bringing us together in this room. Let us put our minds, hearts, and thoughts into our community. Help us make the right decisions for our community and the surrounding area. In your most holy name we pray. Amen. Madam Clerk, that brings us to item 4, spotlight on new business. Do we have one for this evening?
We do not.
Is there anyone in the crowd who is a business who would like to be spotlighted at this juncture? Seeing none. Brings us to citizens' comments. Madam Clerk, will you read the disclosure, please?
Any person wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda needs to sign up on the list located in the public testimony table. Respectful standards of decorum and courtesy shall be observed by all speakers. Remarks should be directed to the council as a body rather than one member of the council or staff. Comments are limited to 5 minutes.
Do we have anybody signed up who would like to give citizens comments this afternoon or this evening? If you haven't already signed up on the sheet, please do so. Excellent. And then state your name and area of residence, please.
My name is Tanya Aris, and I just bought a home in January in Stillmeyer Estates. And it has recently come to my attention through my own research. I was looking where my property line was for a fence, that my driveway and my storage shed, both of which has been in place for the 30 years that the house has been there, and we're on the listing for my house, are on lot 9. I own lot 8. They had been bought and sold together for 30 years, well, 20 some years, up until 2016 or so, when the homeowner of the house defaulted on lot 9. There's never been a driveway there, or on my lot, there's never been a driveway. Lot 9 does not have sewer, water, or electricity, and it has been maintained by the owners of lot 8 for as long as the house has been there that I can tell. It was not disclosed to me or likely any previous homeowner that the lots are separate and that lot 9 was foreclosed and that the city of North Pole decided to sell it this year. I would like to ask for an amendment to ordinance 2026-08 to remove the auction or postpone it for lot 9 until we can discuss this further. Or I would like the right of first refusal to buy lot 9 outright. As I believe this to be an oversight from the previous homeowners from the borough and from the city.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none. Thank you for your testimony this evening.
Thank you.
Is your phone number on that sheet? I would like to call and talk with you tomorrow about that. Okay, thank you. Any other citizens signed up for public comment this evening? Madam Clerk, do we have anybody online?
No, we do not.
Okay, with that, I'll close citizens' comments for this evening. Brings us to item 6, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion or amendments to the agenda? Please, Councilman Claus.
Mayor, may we move item 13G, looks like, 13G to either before or after 13A.
Please, Councilman Schuster.
I was going to make an amendment. Sent that.
Second.
So you,
I would withdraw mine and go along with Councilman Schuster.
Do you want to consent?
it's not an item that I believe that we can consent. Councilman Brandt, I don't believe you can address the audience and ask a member of the audience if they'd like it to be consented.
Mayor, then I go back to my initial request that 13G be moved up to either before or after A in new business.
I'll second that.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion on that from council? So when we place this item on the agenda, I guess I'll take the mic. We place that item on the agenda in case the council decided they wanted to go into executive session to discuss that item due to whatever may come about. I would hate if the council chooses to do that, to have to ask everybody that's here in our chambers to leave during that discussion, but barring any of that, I have no objection. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the movement of item G.
And is that going to be before or after item A? I think we need clarification on that.
Motion maker, before or after doesn't work. How would you like your motion to be set, sir? And then concurrence of the second.
Thank you, Mayor. After, please, after A.
Second.
Okay, so we'll move item G to A/B in between. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion to move item G, request to waive sales tax fees and fines, Ship Alaska, to after item A, ordinance 2026-17, repeal Maiden North Pole trademark. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Or yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
I pass 7-0.
Okay, on the agenda, any more amendments, council? Please call the roll on the agenda.
On the agenda as amended, Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Anyone like to change their vote?
I pass 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. That brings us on to 7, which is consented. Those are our meeting minutes from July 6th. Brings us on to item 8. And this evening, I would like to turn the microphone over to Chief Heineken for the presentation of a 5-year award.
Braden Mazenary, if you would come forward. Oh, it's my pleasure to award Braden Mazenary his 5-year pin from the fire department. Here, I'll give you the pin. Braden is the engineer on C shift, has become a pillar to our department. He's a very stable individual and definitely is a benefit to the fire department and to the responder. Well known for his very, very calm demeanor, especially in emergency situations. Staying extremely calm under pressure is definitely a trait that is well valued in our careers. So last 5 years, and I look forward to this many in the future. Thank you, Braden. See, so they missed.
Thank them for their public service. That brings us on to item B. We also have an award for one of our utility fellas, Mr. Laffy Skips, who has also celebrated 5 years here at the city. Were you able to get a hold of him?
I text him.
Okay. He's at football practice right now, helping our North Pole Patriots win another state championship. So round of applause for him and thank him for 5 years worth of service. Okay, with that, other communications from the mayor. It has been kind of a busy couple of weeks, hammering things out. We've been working on the solar contract, trying to get that brought together, pieced together. It is stuck in legal right now, as far as I understand, back and forth between RES, Alute attorneys, and our city attorney to make sure the contract language is correct. We have moved forward with the sewer outfall project. It's kind of a busy time around here when it comes to fall. I hope that everybody listening had a chance to make it out to the air show. Check that out. Golden Days that's happened since then. Just been a busy time. So I want to thank all of the employees here at the City of North Pole for continuing to press forward, even with some challenges, and just say thank you for that. With that, we'll move forth to council members' questions of the mayor. Seeing none, that brings us on to communications from department heads and borough representative. Madam Clerk, would you like to kick it off this evening?
Sure, I'll just give an update on municipal elections will be held October 6th. Our candidate filing period closed on July 29th. We've got 3 candidates for our city council seats: Thomas McGee, Benjamin Williams, and Aubrey Barnett.
Any questions for our city clerk? Please, Councilman Brandt.
Where are we now with the sale of those properties?
I've been emailing back and forth with our attorney, and the ball's in his court currently.
Meaning,
I'm waiting for a reply from an email.
what exactly are we waiting on?
The language,
So they have
Approval.
not been listed yet.
no.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, on to our borough representative, Councilwoman Rolfe.
Yes, borough meeting was held on May 23rd. The main topic of discussions were the lease with the UAF Nanox was back up. That passed by a 8-1 vote. There's only one person that was against it, but it was a lively discussion. They got a lot more information as to how the lease works and the money that the Nanox come in. The lease is very similar to the lease that is held at the Dipper by the Ice Dogs. So the leases are pretty similar. So that one went forward. They also talked about having increased ice time, open ice time for recreational ice. They're going to have some stick and puck time and some freestyle skate time, all open skate times that'll be occurring in August with the Dipper work still going on. So it's going to move over to the Carlson Center. So they talked about that. And then they approved the language for their ballot initiatives that will be on. So the factual language for the ballot initiative moving the October elections possibly to November, and then what language they'll use for the tax cap initiative that's on as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our borough representative? Thank you, Councilwoman Rolfe. Mr. Harlock.
Hi there. Nothing major to report. Been working on some GASB 34, GASB 10, GASB 50C, just a few things for accounting. Been working on the contract, following up on that for the solar project, working with the HUD department for the HUD grant for the water and sewer project. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Harlock. Any questions for Mr. Harlock this evening? Okay, Chief Heineken, back to you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and everybody. Once again, congratulations to Engineer Mazzaneri for his 5-year award. And with that, I'd like to thank Maggie for keeping on top of those. And we've been fairly inconsistent over years with keeping up with our employee pins. So I think that's something that is worth staying on top of, and it's worth recognizing years of service. The fire department's been there. They've been busy. I'm always busy at a desk, but they're busy actually doing the real job. This year we're trending to do a pretty close to 200 additional calls compared to 2025's numbers. We've really seen an increase in call volume. We're extremely busy at the fire department. Amongst running the calls is doing other services. This last week, we had staff that was staffed the air show out at Eielson on all 3 days. So we did have an engine with staff out there. And then this week, we're once again back out at Eielson. Our apprentice academy is going through live fire training, and we use their live fire facilities out there for training. So they were out there today, and they'll be out there again on Wednesday and Thursday doing live fire training. That's all I have to report tonight. I can answer any questions.
Please, Councilman Brandt.
The increase in calls, is that inside or outside the city limits?
It's both. It is both. In last time I looked at it, it's pretty equally both.
So you'd say half of the calls are inside the city limits and half are outside?
I would say by percentage, not half. So, there's probably a majority of those calls outside of the city, but I would say each one is gone up, equally by a percentage.
Any other questions this evening? Thank you, Chief. Thanks for joining us. That brings us on to item 11, ongoing projects, which we already spoke about. Brings us to 12, unfinished business, reconsideration of ordinance 2026-16. This was reconsidered by Councilman Brandt after our last vote with code within 24 hours of the vote. He asked that this come forward. So it's titled as unfinished business. Madam Clerk, being that this is one of the first reconsiderations we've done, is there anything else other than to bring it to the floor?
No, we'll just need a motion to reconsider. And if that passes, then the item comes back before council in the form it was right before the last vote.
I move to bring forward reconsideration of ordinance 2026-16 committees.
I'll second that. So it's been moved and seconded. And then from here, Madam Clerk, we take a vote on the reconsideration, or because it has been seconded, how do we move forth from here? Sorry, uncharted territory, and I know you've done a lot of research to make sure that we follow protocol through this.
Yeah, we'll take a roll call on this. And if it passes, then it'll come right to council as it was right before the vote at the last meeting.
Okay, please call the vote.
On the reconsideration of ordinance 2026-16 committees, Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
No.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mayor Turch.
Yes. Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 6-1.
Okay. So now we have that back on the floor. Council discussion. Councilman Brandt, if you want to kick it off, please.
So the reason I brought this back is because line 55H, all committee members shall be residents of the city of North Pole or hold a city of North Pole business license or appoint an owner's representative. In our code, it says basically that anybody doing business within the city of North Pole needs a North Pole business license. So if we had a contractor from Anchorage come up and do business up here, they have to get a business license. If we have a plumber from Fairbanks doing a job in North Pole, they have to get a business license. So we have a lot of businesses that are not within the city of North Pole that have North Pole business licenses. So I would like to make a motion on line 55 strike, strike the first sentence on line 55 and 56 and replace it with all committee members must be residents of the city of North Pole, except for members of the North Pole Economic Development Committee and the Bed Tax Grant Committee. Members of these committees may reside outside the city limits if they own a business license that, if they own a business that is physically located within the city limits. A qualifying business owner may also appoint a representative to serve on the committee on their behalf.
Second.
So moved and seconded. For clarification, Councilman Brandt, could you read that again? I'm sorry, that was a lot to dial into. Would you mind me reading your motion just one more time for that change?
All committee members must be residents of the city of North Pole, except for members of the North Pole Economic Development Committee and the Bed Tax Grant Committee. Members of these committees may reside outside the city limits if they own a business that is physically located within the city limits. A qualifying business owner may also appoint a representative to serve on the committee on their behalf.
Thank you for the reread. Council discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion to amend ordinance 2026-16 committees by striking the first sentence on lines 55 and 56 and inserting all committee members must be residents of the city of North Pole, except for members of the North Pole Economic Development Committee and the Bed Tax Grant Committee. Members of these committees may reside outside the city limits if they own a business that is physically located within the city limits. A qualifying business owner may also appoint a representative to serve on the committee on their behalf. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
I pass 7-0.
Thank you. Further discussion on this. If nobody else would like the floor, I'd like just a minute. Thank you. Councilman Brandt, thank you for bringing this forward. I had trepidations about it to begin with. It is interesting when you get into these committees and you dial down in and we start changing things that may or may not make sense, what we really need for our city and what we don't need for our city. And in reading through this a fourth time, I'm not sure that we need all these committees. We have removed a couple of them. We've changed the language and intent of the entire thing. Whether or not that's a great idea or not, I would like to move to strike this entire ordinance and repeal the entire thing. Per code, we already have an ethics board, which is set up in the ethics section. We have a bed tax grant board, which is already set up in the bed tax grant side of things. So there is really no need for this entire section of code.
Point of order.
Unless,
Point of order.
Councilman Brandt, please.
You made your motion. You need a second for that before discussion.
Oh, thank you, Councilman Brandt. I appreciate that point of order. Yeah.
Second, Skips.
Thank you, Mr. Skips. And thank you for the point of order, Councilman Brandt. The only thing that would leave us shy of is a North Pole Economic Development Committee. It has been proven time and time again by this council as we get together and have meetings, whether it's the economic development meeting or the bed tax grant meeting, that the council is ultimately going to choose to do whatever the hell they want to do. We had 2 meetings of our bed tax grant committee, and in that, the council decided to change the suggestions of the bed tax grant committee, not once, but twice, to send it back to committee to review. It's volunteers who serve on this committee. who don't necessarily have time to deal with council shenanigans. So if the council would like to do it, I suggest the council just does that. Gets together and has a work session on economic development that the council feels that we should move forward, and the rest can remain the same. Please, Councilman Brandt.
This ordinance does more than just establish these committees. It sets out the rules for how the committees are, when they meet and the makeup of the committees and all that. So even though the ethics and bed tax exist in code, this particular ordinance spells out more than just the fact that they exist. So I think this ordinance is necessary.
It speaks very succinctly in code when it comes to the ethics committee as to who's going to be on the ethics board and who can be on the ethics board. It also demands that the council approve those boards to include the bed tax grant board. Please, Councilman Brandt.
This ordinance sets out an application process for the committees that we've never had before, which I think is just a no-brainer. It sets out the time that they can meet, the amount of public notice that is necessary, all that kind of stuff that is not in the rest of code.
Councilman Claus.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, while I appreciate your sentiments and take on this particular issue, it's been my experience. We've both been on council before. As far as committees go, it's been very hard, aside from Ms. Rawl, to get council people onto committees. Council members don't seem to, generally speaking, want to be on a particular committee or other. Sort of whether they're paid for it or not, volunteering their time or not. So perhaps if the committees disappear and it's left just to council to do the work the committees might do, I'm not sure that that work will get done, to be honest. Thanks, Mayor.
No, I appreciate that. We pushed the we push things to the Economic Development Committee, such as the North Pole trademark. And council went above and beyond to bring that back to us before the Economic Development Committee could think about it, change anything or suggest anything. I just don't see a real need for this. If council is going to do that job and take that on, regardless of what the committees do or don't do, as council has proven, the need for this is really nothing. And to speak to your point about when we can and can't have deciding committees happen here at the City of North Pole, if it was a work session done by council through economic development, that's a work session that has to be publicly noticed. So your argument as far as that goes has been taken care of. It would have to also be journaled at the same time, so we would have a complete record of that, recording of that, and be a public meeting for everything that you have put forth here to change this. Please, Councilman Claus.
Well, I support the changes that Councilman Brandt is proposing, but I do take your point, Mayor, what you were saying before. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, please call.
Mayor, did we do public testimony on this? What do we?
Oh, we did not. Yeah, I'm sorry. I skipped right over that because it was a reconsideration. Thank you for that point of order, Mr. Schuster. We'll pass the motion or we'll take the vote on the motion as called, and then we'll take public testimony on the entire ordinance. Madam Clerk.
On the motion to strike and repeal ordinance 2026-16, Mr. Brandt,
No.
Mr. Williams,
No.
Mr. Schuster,
No.
Ms. Rolfe,
No.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
No.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That failed 5-2.
Thank you. With that, we're doing things out of order, and I apologize. Thank you for the point of order this evening, gentlemen. With that, I'd like to open a call for public testimony if there's anybody in the room or online who would like to give public testimony on this item. Okay, moving on. Any further discussion on this ordinance? Madam Clerk, please call the final roll on ordinance 2026-17.
On ordinance 2026-16 committees, Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
I would say no.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 6-1.
Okay. That brings us on to item 12A. Can I get a motion, please, to introduce?
We just did 12A.
Sorry, 13A.
Motion to introduce ordinance 2026-17, repeal made in North Pole trademark.
Second.
Okay, since I put this one forth, I suppose I'll give the staff report on it. The city council unanimously, almost unanimously, decided to give the trademark to the chamber. So there now is no need for this entire section of code since council has spoken and donated that to the North Pole Chamber of Commerce. With that, that brings us to a call for public testimony. Is there anybody online or in the room who would like to give public testimony on this item? Brings us to council discussion. Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On ordinance 2026-17, repeal made in North Pole trademark, Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe, Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 7-0.
Okay. Brings us on to item 13G, a request to waive sales tax and fees and fines for Ship Alaska. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to introduce the request to waive sales tax, fees, and fines, Ship Alaska.
Second Skips.
So moved and seconded.
Need to declare a conflict of interest.
Okay.
I've been dealing with this for several months, and I cannot be objective on this.
And I would also have to declare a conflict of interest for the same reason.
Okay. Any objections to those conflicts of interest by council?
So I don't think that's a conflict. You're sort of voted in to be objectionable. You've dealt with them assumably under your role as council members, and you need to set aside what you've done and listen to everybody in making the decision, because that's what you were voted in by people of North Pole to do.
I agree with that, but the mayor has a problem with it. And he got the attorney involved, and the attorney said that I had to declare a conflict of interest.
Actually, Councilman Brandt, what I did was I asked the attorney if there could be a potential conflict of interest. Madam Clerk, is our attorney online? Good evening, Mr. Palmer. I hope that you were, sorry, didn't wait too long and got a chance to listen while you were in the waiting room.
Good evening. It's good to be here with you. I wasn't able to hear anything the last 10 or so minutes, so I'm a little information poor right now, but catch me up to speed if you need to.
Certainly, we have moved this on to the floor, and before we could take a vote on it, Councilman Brandt and Councilman Claus have both declared a conflict of interest. And Councilwoman Rolfe just replied with, she believes that they should be allowed to set their differences aside and, or Councilwoman Rolfe, do you want to take the mic? And I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Working on an issue prior to it coming before us doesn't create a conflict of interest. If I remember correctly, under our code, a conflict of interest is created if you're going to gain something if you vote one way or another. My understanding is neither council member works for this company and would gain nothing regardless of the outcome of the vote of this.
But
Which means there's no conflict.
This is a quasi judicial hearing at this point, and I have more information than the rest of the council has on this.
Under our code, that doesn't create a conflict of interest.
Okay. Then vote no.
Mr. Palmer, do you have a take or any advice moving forward on this?
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, this is Councilwoman Rolfe is spot on the financial conflict of interest. And this is one of those hybrids where there's also can also be an ex parte conflict of interest that arises, and Council Member Brandt is also spot on. And so the ultimate question for you to decide in terms of process is whether you think the council members can be neutral and fair, and if so, then make a ruling, and then the council can overrule you if they wish to by a vote. Or if you don't think the members can be neutral and fair, then say so, and council can overrule you if there's a motion to do so. And I'd be happy to walk through any of those things if they happen.
So because Councilman Brandt and Claus have already raised a concern for this, do we then move past the mayor and put it to the vote of the council?
Yeah, good question. The standard approach is the presiding officer. So you would make an initial determination, which could then be overruled by the council. If the council wants to just go directly to a vote of the council, that's probably also okay. I don't see a defect in that. And on substance, I'll offer one piece here in that for Councilmember Claus and Councilmember Brandt, if they wish to disclose what they know, that may be enough to defeat any conflict, especially if the bias is against the cities. But that's a question for them to decide if they want to disclose it. They don't have to. When I say disclose that, I mean what information that they've gleaned. And it may be too complex to disclose, or it may be simple and they can disclose it. I don't know.
Councilman, do you care to take that on?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Like I said, I've been working with Alaska on this issue for since March. I've been back and forth with our former CFO or present CFO or our former sales tax clerk or current sales tax clerk, and everybody else at City Hall. our current CFO literally told me, this is our problem. We caused this. They don't need to pay the penalties and interest, but it does say in our code that this does have to come to council. I personally feel I cannot be objective on this. I've already made up my mind on it, and being a quasi judicial matter, I think that excludes me, but that's up to you.
Thank you. Councilman Claus, same question.
Thank you. I'm pretty familiar with the waiving the sales tax fees and fines issue. I believe the city is the one who has kind of failed to perform its duties through the entire run of this particular issue. And I've seen it, I've heard it from both CFOs, essentially, that the city has been remiss in this on this issue. So knowing that, that would inform my opinion. But now everybody else knows what I know. So I think if I were to be disqualified, then pretty much everybody on the council might be disqualified. I'd prefer to see a vote on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. CFO Harlock, since you've been brought into this now twice, what information do you have that you have obviously provided to both of these council members that they feel as though the city is at fault? Could you speak a little bit to that? Because they have both testified that the reason that they can't be objective is because yourself and the previous CFO, along with both sales tax clerks and everyone here at the city, essentially says it's the city's fault. So if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yes. When I met Shiloh in my office several weeks ago, I don't know the date exactly, I did indicate that it was unfortunate that these penalties have accrued, but towards the end of our conversation, I did ultimately say the council was responsible for making this decision. So there wasn't any point that I said I was the one that was the person that was going to make the decision, as you said just now. So I did say that, right? I did. Okay. Yep. I said it's your guys' decision, and I will look into the issues that are going on. But I did not say if it was Shiloh's mistake or if it was the city's mistake. I said it was unfortunate, and you guys will be the ones that make the decision, right? I didn't claim ownership over any wrongdoing or anything like that. No. And I can't speak for anybody but myself. So
Thank you, Mr. Harlock. With that, I'm not going to object to this, and if the council decides to override my objection, they certainly can take a vote, but I will allow you, if you both choose to not want to participate in this line item and feel that you cannot be objective because of what you know, I can't argue with that, and I would find for that to be okay. Councilman Brandt. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Schuster.
I attended a meeting at Ship Alaska, so I would disclose a conflict of interest there. I can be objective on this, though.
Thank you for that. Councilman Claus.
Mayor, just to clarify, I'm saying that I might have a conflict of interest. It's up to the council to determine that. I personally think I could vote objectively based on what I know. Thank you.
Okay, that's exactly what I just asked you, and you said that you agreed exactly with what Mr. Brandt said. So I'm a little confused by your testimony. So now you're wishing to vote on this item and feel as though you can be objective. Is that correct, Councilman Claus?
That is correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Brandt, do you still feel as though you cannot be objective to this item?
I would ask for a vote of council.
Overruled, Mayor, but the mayor has to either declare you conflicted or not.
At this point, I will declare you conflicted, Councilman Brandt, based on your testimony and your desire. I can't argue with that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion moving forward? Okay. move forward then with a staff report. It has been first and seconded, correct? Madam Clerk, please remind me of who. Move
Moved
that.
by Mr. Claus, seconded by Mr. Skips.
Okay, thank you for that. That brings us on to a staff report. Mr. Harluck, please.
So just a timeline of events for the returns in question. We have return from 4/30/2026 that was filed on 6/19/2026, paid excluding late fees. We have a return on 3/31/2026 that was paid on 6/19, excluding late fees. And we have a return on February 26th that was paid on 6/19, excluding late fees. Total balance due is $350 for late fees and penalties.
Thank you for that staff report. I'll call for a public testimony on this item. Is there anybody in the room or online who wishes to give public testimony? Councilman Brandt, nice that you'll join us this evening from that side of the table. Please state your name and area of residence.
David Brandt, City of North Pole. So I first heard about this issue back in, actually it was back in February, when I first talked to Ms. Greenwood about the problem. I spoke with our current CFO about the issue. She was having problems logging onto her account. Also, when the previous month, when she filled out the paperwork, it calculated everything wrong. So she brought it in, and our current sales tax administrator just, and this is in our packet, just scratched out the wrong numbers, wrote in the correct numbers. And you can see where she just zeroed out the penalties and interest because, again, this was an issue that the city's website had, not the city's website, the website that we use for collecting the sales taxes. So then the next month, she was having problems logging on to Express Bill Pay. And then she also wanted clarification about what was taxable and what was not taxable. They own a shipping business and they weren't sure if the shipping charges themselves were taxable and what exactly they had to pay sales tax on. So I sat down with Ms. Fogarty at the time and clarified exactly what was taxable and what was not taxable. Basically, services in the city of North Pole are not taxable, but the items that they sell in the store are taxable. So if they were to sell a box or some packing tape or something like that, not associated with the shipping itself, those items would be taxable. So we got that all straightened up, but they were still having problems getting online. Then a couple months went by and same thing. They were still having problems logging on. We, at that time, got a new sales tax administrator. She was not sure how to fix the problem. She said to email her later. Ms. Greenwood tried to email her and the emails did not go through. And if you recall, at that time, our email service was down when we were switching from a .org to a .gov. Then, if you recall, when Ms. Greenwood came in and talked about the Made North Pole trademark, her and her daughter had tried for 10 months to get the mayor to help them use the trademark, and the mayor kept saying, I don't know anything about it. So she came and that he couldn't help her. So they came to council and the whole mess with the trademark situation happened. But when she came in at the second meeting, the mayor said, you know, if we pass this amendment, then I'm proposing tomorrow I will give you and the chamber a letter that says that you can use the Made in North Pole trademark. She came in that next day to get the letter, and instead of handing her a letter, the mayor handed her a copy of the sales tax code. And when Ms. Greenwood looked at it, she looked at him and said, "I've been trying for months to get this straightened up." And he said, "It doesn't matter," turned around and walked away. In my opinion, a good mayor and a decent person would say, "I'm sorry to hear that. Come on in. Let's get this straightened out." But that's not what he did. The sales tax problem with that business had nothing to do at all with the Made North Pole trademark. So for him to do that, I think is. Anyway, at that time, I went and talked to our current CFO, and he said to have her call him. And she did, and she went and sat down with him for an hour. And he tried for an hour to log on. He could not get in. It turns out that at the very beginning, the account was set up wrong from the very beginning. And that's why she was having issues this whole time. And Mr. Harlock, when I talked to him after that, he said, he admitted that it was our fault that she could not log in, and that he doesn't think that she should have to owe the penalties and interest. But he did say that our code says that only council can waive penalties and interest. Even though in the past, you can see right here that the former sales tax clerk did. Anyway, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So anyway, this is all over $15 in sales tax, by the way. $15 in sales tax and $350 in penalties and interest. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Brandt. Any questions for Councilman Brandt as a member of the public this evening? Dave, I have a question for you before you leave. When you got involved in this, rather than you being in the middle, why didn't you ask Miss Greenwood to come down and speak to our CFO instead of you being involved with everything back and forth?
Did. She did talk to Tricia. She did talk to Will. She did talk to Sally. She did talk to Kaylee. She emailed. She came in. She was frustrated, so she talked to her council member.
Thank you very much. And Councilman Claus, please.
Thank you. So Council, Mayor Pro Tem Brandt, was I or was I not present when the Ship Alaska could not get on into their account at their office? I happened to be there with you at one point. Do you recall?
I was present 3 different times when she could not log on, when she was telling me that she could not log on. And the time that you're talking about was after she came in and talked to Mr. Harlock, and they thought they had it straightened out. And they did have it straightened out, but the problem she had that time logging in was the browser that she was using. She uses a very secure web browser because of the contracts that she has with the government and things like that. And she has found out that she has to log out of the secure browser into an insecure browser in order to log on to Express Bill Pay.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Brandt? Please, Mr. Harlock.
When when you had mentioned Shiloh's issues, I had mentioned to you that she can come and stop by anytime. Prior to that, I didn't know the issue was even an issue. But as soon as you mentioned that to me, I said Shiloh can come by anytime. Shiloh came by as soon as she came by. We sat in my office for about an hour. The Express Bill Pay said that the server was down and it needed to be restarted. So the first thing that I did was contact Alaska Connect, and they had to call me back for approval. They reset the server. On the Express Bill Pay website, it said server was down. The issue was that the account number was not the same as the account number that we had on file in Cassell. Once the account number was connected, 5 minutes after Shiloh left, I had connected it and it was functional. That's yep.
Correct, but it's still, you had an issue logging on for nearly an hour, so if.
No, I didn't have an issue logging on. I had an issue with what the error was telling me. The error was telling me that the server needed to be restarted. The server did not need to be restarted. The account number that we had previously used in a different ERP was still connected. The email that we had on file with the correct account number needed to be re-entered into Express Bill Pay.
Right, and to correct all this, you just created a whole new account for her.
Did not create a new account. I activated the other account and entered in the account number. The old account is still on there and it says inactivated.
Okay, well, she is now using a completely different account than what was originally set up for her. Right.
Councilman Brandt, thank you for your comments. Any further questions? Thank you, David Brandt. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind running through the documents that have been provided to us. Oh, I'm sorry, please. Further public testimony, come forth. Good evening. Please state your names and your area of residence.
Tyler Greenwood, Salcha.
Brent Greenwood, same.
It's a beautiful table. I had spoken previously with Trish Fogarty, emailed with, but during that time, and you would see it actually in your packets. Something, she had jury duty. I had set a time to be able to come in and for her to come by the shop. She was also hiring someone. I don't know, it got lost in the ether at that particular point. I am not quite sure what happened. But we had set a time for her to come by with her staff so she could see the issues that I was having, to answer to that.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. or Mrs. Greenwood?
I just have one thing to add to that.
Yeah, please.
This gentleman over here, thank you. Thank you. You've been great. You've been helpful.
I do want to say too, yeah, I do use a more secure browser than anything that the city uses. I will address that again, as I have previously stated. The city will have some issues with that if for future notice, just be aware of that. That is something that you guys may want to address. Express bill pay is not a very secure situation, given my IT gentleman that is managing my systems. I would suggest that. Will be bringing my sales tax into the city. The last time I paid sales tax this last month, it would be suggested that those documents that are available for paper document would be available on the wall at City Hall, not to have to download on Express Bill Pay. I would suggest that. Made available to businesses to come in and get and pick up rather than having to ask a staff member for them.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilman Claus.
Thank you. I have a question. So if, because of this situation, you spent an inordinate amount of time addressing this. If you were actually working with Ship Alaska Business, how much would the time that you spent on this approximately be worth?
That's a tough call. That would be a tough call. I don't know. What would you say?
I would say in the startup year, the numbers that well over a dozen. It's hard to say in a startup year, but it did take away us to have pursued.
I have a question about your return here, the December of 26 return that you have here that you provided to us as part of your documentation. There were some changes to that done. Can you explain those changes as they're crossed out? It looks like you filed February of 2026 for December. So even with this being filed, it's filed more than 30 days after the end of the month, which is I believe our current code. But I'm curious about who did the zeros on the penalties and the adjustments that were made to this.
Your wife.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Wife, Sally Church.
Okay. So this was done by Miss Turch when she worked here as the taxation accountant.
Yes, sir.
And the clerk. Was this paid for at the time that it was done at the counter?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I don't see that receipt provided here, so that's why I'm questioning. That's a tally sheet, not an actual receipt at the bottom of that.
You're correct. And that was also the reason it was done on February 3rd instead of January 31st was, again, I was having issues logging in and I could not get a hold of anyone at the city. No one answered the phone.
Okay, and then moving on from here, when was the next time that you filed your sales tax and paid that? So this is December of 25, January of 26 would have been submitted when, and when was that paid?
That would have been submitted the end of February, so February 28th. So in that letter that I read at public comment 2 meetings ago,
Sorry, I was on vacation.
I'm aware of that. Did you read the letter in your packet?
I did read the letter in my packet.
Yes. So it would have been submitted on February 28th. And again, it states the business owed negative 55 cents, essentially a refund from the city. I tried logging in and again couldn't. I called to speak with the city, but I cannot remember what was said at the time with certainty. I do know nothing moved forward towards a solution, causing me to have stress about late payments. Toward the end of February, I spoke with Councilman Brandt about my struggles to pay owed taxes when he came in for a visit. He suggested I email the CFO, who at the time was Tricia Fogarty. She was difficult to get a hold of due to court obligations at the time, which was jury duty. But we agreed to set up a time for her and a new employee for the city to come to my business to see the problem. They did not actually set up a time to visit and did not show for any meetings or to see the issues I was dealing with.
And from that, when was your next communication with someone at the city? Did you come in after that? Did you continue to email? How was that handled?
I don't recall. I don't recall from February when the next time was that I had come in or the next time that I'd answered. It was, I believe I had spoken with, I don't remember if I particularly.
I do know that we were very busy and startup first year and set aside to come in, sending an email or to be substantial.
It was not, I had expected Trish to come in. She had, at the time, I was under the impression that she was going to come in. I don't have that email in front of me from her. I know it's in your packet. It was something that I submitted from hopefully from the 6th meeting. She wasn't specific about the day she was going to come in, but she did tell me she was going to come in.
So that's up on the screen here. It looks like that was March 16th at 4:45. 2 days after you sent in asking about sales tax. But after this email, when was the next communication that you had with our city in taking care of this sales tax issue?
Well, that was actually March 14th, not the 16th, that I emailed it to her. And
It-
she emailed back to me on the 16th.
Correct. Yep. That it's up on the screen there. I'm sorry. I know that may be a head turn, but after that point in time, though, when was your next communication with anybody from the city other than Councilman Brandt?
Better question is, what's the next time the city communicated with us? I mean, respectfully. We were trying to work with.
So respectfully, in the city of North Pole, our codes are very clear about your obligation as a business licensed in the city of North Pole to pay your taxes when they're due within 30 days of the previous month. And I know you're a startup, and I love that. I love that for our city. I love that for you. If North Pole wasn't so profitable and such a great community, you wouldn't have chose to put your business here. But when's the next communication that you had with someone from the city after the March 16th email that didn't happen?
I did not call as far as I could look, I would have to look back at my call records. I would have to look back at my call records to see if I actually called in March.
You know, if city staff says they're gonna do something and you just kind of say, okay, they're gonna do something. You just sit and you trust in good faith that they'll follow through. The fact that it didn't,
I took her at her word that she was going to show up.
yeah, I understand where
In
you're coming
March.
from.
No, I do too. Yep.
But at the end of the day, I mean,
It was not it was not I was not looking to evade that in April. Again, it came back to looking at trying to log in again. Most likely I called. I'm not looking at the fact that I did not go back and look through my call records because that's not something that I would sit and take the time to do. I take a lot of phone calls. I have a lot of phone calls. If that is something that you would like me to do, I will gladly go back through my phone calls records.
I just asked because you wrote a very detailed letter about all the things that you did and all the communications that you have, but that is absent from the letter to say when you actually had more communications with the city from that email that said, from Ms. Fogarty saying that she would arrange a time with you to stop by with the new sales tax administrator as soon as that happened. I believe at the same time she gave her notice or was in that mind frame of retirement.
Well,
And
then at that point,
Mhm.
I'm not notified that she gives notice.
I understand that, but it's not on the city to follow up with you, a business owner, to pay your tax. It's up to you, a business owner, to come in and pay your tax.
your point is made. And I would say this. We acted in good faith and believed that the city for $15, I mean, we wanted to solve this. We did not journal every phone call that we made to the city. We did not journal, and as we were going, we didn't do that. And could we have? Sure. We're not going to start that. Not every phone call we have is going to be journaled. So, that's where we're coming from. So we understand taxes need to be paid. And we fought to work within our means and work within the system to get them paid.
As soon as I was able to log in and Will was able to help me do that, they were paid that day. Those fees were paid.
I have a question.
Just if I may, I would like to give Mr. Harlock an opportunity to address that. Mr. Harlock, when the login happened in your office, were all taxes up until that date caught up and paid while that login was happening?
Correction, I wasn't able to log in his office. He had to call me and let me know it was available.
Okay, so that day when it was available, you paid those taxes.
That day or the next business day, one of those two.
Okay, and about what day was that? And Mr. Harlock, is that correct? Yeah, if you would, please, into the microphone so that we have this. Thank you.
May sales tax was filed and paid on 6/17. The sales tax, not the late fees and penalties. The other was paid on 6/19. February, March, and April were paid on 6/19.
Okay, so we went from March to May without any communication from Ship Alaska as far as paying sales tax, as far as that goes. Is that correct? I'm just trying to put together a timeline of,
I would say, communication payment was received for May on 6/17. April, March, and April payment was received on 6/19.
and then when were those sales returns filed? Do you have that? Okay, when
Filed on 6/17, May 2026 return was filed on 6/17, paid. This is less the sales tax, the fees. We're not talking about that. April 2026 was filed and paid on 6/19. March 2026 was filed and paid on 6/19. February was filed and paid on 6/19, and January was filed and paid on 6/19.
So,
Is that in express bill pay or is that when the check is cashed?
That's when the returns were filed.
so for everything from 2026, those returns weren't filed until 6/19.
Yes, 6/17 for May and the other four 6/19.
So can you help explain why we have a 6-month gap of you not filing your taxes? And I know you don't have to pay them, but you're supposed to file them. Why was there such a long term in filing your sales tax?
Well, here again is a question too. One of the other things is in express bill pay. So August of 2025, when I actually was able to log in again, in some of my contact with the city, I was told originally, since I wasn't doing business, and I called the city, said, hey, do I have to do anything for August since we're not open? No, there's nothing. You don't have anything coming in. Absolutely not. Because I didn't want to be behind on anything. I would not want to have an issue. So it became all right, no problem. So when I logged in with what Will had, it was, okay. I start looking back at August of 2025 and lo and behold, you're supposed to file that. So the city didn't even know, your staff doesn't even know what they're telling me, if it's true or not, or what's supposed to be correct. Of if I'm supposed to file for August of 2025. So realistically, there should also be fees and late fees for August of 2025. There isn't. Not only that, the express bill pay doesn't even calculate per percentage. So August in particular, there isn't anything there, which I'm very grateful for. But when I called the staff, they don't know. They don't know how or what is correct when I'm asking them questions. There's nothing. So when I'm looking for direction specific to a tax, or if I could just get handed something, it comes down to, do you really know what you're handing somebody or you're saying to somebody? Do you even have that answer? Do you know? Like for example, that August of 2025.
So did you have any sales in August of 2025?
No.
Okay, so you didn't have any sales, but you didn't
Filed
file,
that on June 19th also.
but you didn't file a zero claim for August of 2025
There's
either,
a
that you
zero
had
claim.
no sales.
There's a
Okay.
zero claim now.
We were told we didn't even need to file it. We got a tax ID because we
Right.
were getting prepped to open.
Wouldn't that be accurate, Will, that it should have a late fee on there?
You're asking me something that was before my time, right?
I'm asking, would
How-
that be, if
how-
you have a business that has, I understand it's before your time, but let's say today, you open a business today in August of 2026, and you don't file, and there is no sales. Okay? And you don't file until June of next year. Would there be a late fee on there, even if there's no sales?
So I'll actually take that one. It depends on whether or not your business licensed is marked taxable or non-taxable based on your conversation. So if you call and have a business license and you say, hey, I provide a service, I don't actually have any sales, that is a non-taxable license where you're just providing a service. So we mark no sales tax on that license and no sales tax issues come up for that business license. But if you are a business that collects sales tax, then your license is marked taxable depending on your start date of your business. So I would,
What you're saying then is per my business license from August of last year until January or December 31st of last year, there shouldn't be any sales tax.
what I'm saying is that your business may have been marked as starting September of 2025 instead of August of 2025 as a taxable license starting on a set date because you called and said, hey, I don't have any sales tax for this month. I'm a new business. So that may have gotten that. I can't explain what happened in that situation, but calling our staff untrained to handle sales
Say
tax,
that, don't put words in my mouth.
uneducated to properly answer the questions that you call with to our staff. I'm just trying to give you a reason as to why that may or may not have happened the way that it did. Ultimately, we're here to talk about your sales tax from 2026, which wasn't filed or paid until June 19th.
So in May, the business owed $15.95. This was recently paid after working with the new CFO over several hours to correct issues I had previously brought forward. See the upcoming June 2026 summary for more information. On about May 18th, I went into City Hall to try to get ahead of issues for May and June. I spoke with a new employee who had been hired to replace Sally Church, Kylie Thompson. I was told to forward the emails I had in my care from to previous exchanges to her as she was unaware of the history of the issues, or that the issues existed at all. I returned to my business and tried to forward them immediately, but emails were not going through. I called Kylie immediately to tell her about it, and she suggested trying again, which I did. The emails continued to not go through. I learned later the city's email system was down. I don't believe the emails ever went through to her. In June, at about this time, I spoke with Councilman Brandt again about the ongoing issues paying taxes to the city. He put me in touch with the new CFO, Will Harlick, and I was able to explain the ongoing situation to him. Thankfully, he comprehended the issues, and I was able to demonstrate to him that what I was dealing with during an in-person meeting we had before my business's open hours. Because of his follow-through, I was able to finally log into the system and begin addressing the owed taxes. On June 17th, I was able to pay the owed taxes for May 2026 without a late fee. It was during this encounter with CFO Harlick when I learned the initial setup for my portal access had been initiated wrong at the city level and was no fault of my own. Looking back to August, again, 2025, this last section is out of order, but the previous paragraph should provide context. Our business obtained its city tax account in August of 2025, which you say, but it had no income, as we were setting up and building out along with signing the lease. We opened our doors to the public in September of 2025. I was advised in September of 2025 by one of the office staff when I called in about it, I don't recall the staff member's name, that because I had owed no taxes for the month of August, I should not worry about it, nothing needed to be done by me. When I was able to log in this last week after meeting with CFO Harlick in June of 2026, I looked and found $0 due in taxes for August of 2025, but a $50 fine for not telling this, oh, sorry, there was a fine. For not telling the city I didn't owe anything. In all ways, I was proactive in trying to communicate with the city and address the problems with tax payments. I just could not get any traction to solve the problem. So ultimately, I have made the effort to call. I have made the effort. I had made the effort to talk to Trish, the CFO. I had this last month, I came in and was told I had to log into Express Bill Pay to pay my taxes. That may not be here, but this last month I was told that that was the requirement. Previously, in a previous meeting, I learned that that's not the case. So
Ms. Greenwood, if I may, do you have a credit card? And when you don't pay that credit card, the credit card charges you a fee for non-payment, correct? And then if you don't pay and you continue to not pay that credit card, every single month you gain interest and you have a late fee. The city is no different, and I understand that there are some extenuating circumstances about your situation, but for being a 2-minute drive down the road, I think it would have been a whole lot easier to come in person and try and deal with this
you know, Mr. Mayor, when I came in for that letter,
in March. Yeah, please, go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
did nothing for me.
Perfect.
You did nothing for me.
I just want to say one last thing. Yes, that having a credit card is an example. I'll push back on that.
Okay.
And here's my logic. Business is business, government is not business. And if the government body here, if the body here wants to consider the city of North Pole a business, I suggest they check their mindset. Government needs to be financially responsible, yes. But government does not exist to make money. Whereas government exists to support and protect the rights of citizens. We agreed to pay taxes. We paid taxes. Taxes have been, but to treat the city of North Pole entity, and I take
Objection noted. And you're correct. I was using it as a bad example, and I appreciate that. Councilman Claus, did you have a question, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm wondering from your point of view, as a message that goes out to business owners in the city of North Pole, regarding waiving sales tax fees and fines under these particular circumstances, is the city, in your opinion, setting a good example or a poor example, the way they handle and interact with small business owners here?
I would say this specific situation has been difficult. I hope that it's not this difficult moving forward. Together moving forward.
I'd like to, I would be hopeful that it would be a more
Suspended?
good way to put it.
So you, in your letter here of January 2026, you say the business owed 58 cents worth of tax, but your December of 2025 return shows $727.38. What was the differential that happened between December and January that caused you to owe 58 cents rather than $40 worth of tax?
I'm not going to disclose the specifics of our sales or non-sales to the city council.
Okay. Yeah, you opened the door by asking us for to waive your fees. I'm just curious.
Didn't bring a copy of our books to this meeting to go over that. So.
Okay. Let me phrase this a different way. In your business, you do a lot of things from shipping and receiving to selling boxes and goods. You also do rentals of U-Haul, correct? With the rental business of U-Haul, does that make it to this sheet that you provide?
Exposes that to the city themselves.
Okay, so U-Haul takes care of that on the side. So they charge the tax and then the city receives that from U-Haul itself. So that never makes it on here. So these are your in-store sales, boxes, tape. I don't know what else you sell there, but whatever. Okay, perfect. I'm sorry. No.
That is true. At the time, we were paying taxes on shipping.
Which is a service, and we've removed that tax.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions for the business owners here this evening? Mr. Harlock, do you have anything more to contribute to this?
No.
Our city code, which you read through to provide this letter. I printed it off here. So, Madam Clerk, would you pull up our city code 4.08.110, please, if you would, and put that up on the screen. It says every sale, service, or rental made within the city, unless explicitly exempted by the article, shall be presumed subject to tax. It goes on to say any exceptions to this policy shall be at the sole discretion of the city council, applying the criteria set forth in subsection E. Subsection E says the city council may reduce interest and fees due on delinquent sales tax as followed. Talks about a request for reduction, which you guys have followed, that you write a letter to include all of the facts, have that signed and notarized. Section 2 says the city council shall at its sole discretion determine the amount of any reduction in interest and fees assessed based on the nature of the error that led to the delinquent payment of taxes, whether the taxpayer's late payment of taxes was due in good faith or due to a good faith mistake, and whether the taxpayer self-reported the delinquent taxes due. Since you didn't file your delinquent taxes or any taxes as of 2026 from January to June 19th, I don't know if it totally checks that box. And then 3, the ignorance of taxpayers' obligations under the city sales tax shall not constitute grounds for reduction of interest and fees unless the taxpayer proves that the taxpayer made a good faith effort to determine its obligations under the sales tax code, which I believe at times you made good faith efforts to bring that forth. Number 4, the city council may grant a reduction in interest and fees due under the sales tax code if the taxpayer establishes by clear and convincing evidence that the applications of factors set forth in this section of code justify reduction, which is what we're trying to decide this evening. Is it clear and convincing evidence? Councilman Schuster.
Yeah, I just have a question. Where are we at? Do we, is there something code how quasi judicial hearings are supposed to go? What, are we asking questions? Was that a question?
We certainly can, yeah.
Where
Yeah.
are we at in this process?
We're in council discussion.
Okay, we're in discussion?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have a question? Okay. In section 4.08.090, the submittal of forms and remittance, The city shall provide sales tax returns for sellers. Sellers making taxable sales in a month shall transmit the tax collected no later than the last day of the following month in which tax was collected, along with a completed return. Returns and taxes remitted must be received by the city administrative offices no later than 5 p.m. on the due date. And it's up on the screen there if you want to read through that. It says sales tax forms shall be furnished by the city, have spaces setting forth the amount received from the following. It goes on to list 7 different things. It talks about quarter filing and annual filing. I am a little concerned that your business went so long without filing a sales tax return with the city. 6 months is a long time. I know we're all busy in this industry and everything we do is busy, but paying your taxes is pretty important as well. I could see a month. I could see maybe 2 being behind, but 6 months, 5 months of non-payment. Please, Councilman Schuster.
Just for clarification, I'm looking at this form that says date 2/3, so it wouldn't be 6 months, right?
This actually wasn't filed or paid. Even though it was provided, Mr. Harlock, and you may speak to this, we do not have a record of this entering our system or being part of our system in any way, shape, or form.
What month are you looking at for a sales tax return, Anthony?
December.
This is December of 25 that was submitted. This Pete. So December's was paid February 2nd, and that was the last payment that Ship Alaska made to the city?
Until 6/17, yes.
Thank you. Councilman Claus.
Thank you. I have a question for the Mr. and Mrs. Greenwood here. An analogy, let's say an analogy as far as the sales tax or business licensing and all that kind of stuff goes that the city derives a benefit from. If, for example, someone was licensed by the state of Alaska to do whatever, and they were doing business in the city of North Pole, are you aware that our code requires that anyone who has a state of Alaska business license is required to have a city of North Pole business license if they're conducting business here, and that's in any field whatsoever? I mean, are you aware of that?
Yes.
So that would apply to all fields that are covered by our code, correct?
Yes.
And the state of Alaska code.
My understanding.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Claus, in the beginning of that, Councilman Schuster had a question that was, is this council discussion or is this asking you questions? And it's sort of both. With the matter that we have on hand and the business that we have on hand, I think it's only fair that you're able to go back and forth and have an open discussion about what you've submitted, as long as that's okay with you. We've already been kind of doing it that way. I guess it will have to be. Yes, Councilman Claus.
So for council discussion, if we're bringing it back to council discussion.
Please.
So my question for you goes back to the question I just asked the Greenwoods. You, as mayor and a resident here, are aware that anyone who has a state of Alaska business license, who's doing business in the city of North Pole, whatever that business might be, is required to have a city of North Pole business license, and failure to do that has penalties attached to it, plus the fees. perhaps going back years, who knows? Are you aware of that?
Councilman Claus, I don't see what your question has to do with the business at hand. So I will pass on that question because it really doesn't. What we're trying to decide this evening is the request by council to waive sales tax fees and fines from Ship Alaska. It doesn't have to do with other businesses with inside the city that have or don't have business licenses. That's totally off topic, sir.
I'm just wondering why we're treating this particular company differently from perhaps another company. It seems a little bit untoward to me.
And that's your opinion. I don't think we're treating this company any different than we do any other company throughout the city that doesn't pay their sales tax.
I wonder about that. I've watched a lot of council meetings and I still haven't seen any other businesses. Are there any other businesses that have been delinquent in taxes that have had to come to council?
Not that I'm aware of. Please, Councilman Schuster,
I'd like to make a motion.
please.
Can we call the roll?
We can. I thought you wanted to make a motion.
I did. Call the question.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the question as to whether or not to waive the fees for Ship Alaska.
On the request to waive sales tax and fines, Ship Alaska. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
No. Would anyone like to change their vote?
No. No, we don't.
Thank you, Councilman Williams, for vocalizing that. I appreciate that.
Problem.
Madam Clerk,
That passed 5-1.
thank you. I'd like to move for a recess, please, of 5 minutes for restroom break. Back on the record. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That brings us to 13B. Can I get a motion, please, to introduce?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2026-18 budget adjustment.
Second skips.
So moved and seconded. That brings us to staff report. Mr. Harlock.
Hi there. So this is quite a large fiscal note, but it covers a few things. I just did a mid-year budget review, looked where we're at, IT services. I have all the support if you guys want to see, but our IT budget to date is we need to increase it for the next 6 months. The bills coming in from Alaska Connect and MTA invoices are pretty static. Looking at what we have available to what we need, this budget adjustment for IT services will leave us with a couple $100 in each account, but it should get us till the end of December. And we won't have to worry about a budget adjustment then for our Alaska Connect and MTA invoices. Currently, we have a budget available of 35,000, and our expenses incurred for the next till the end of the year are going to be roughly 38,000. So I appropriated that across the multiple funds so that we could have enough to pay our bills. The next budget adjustment is for dispatch contract. Dispatching has went up, prices went up. I have support here from Jed, Chief Jed, and I think Chad too. Yep. But we're looking at about 127,000 overall, and we need to increase that by about 38,000. Currently, we have about 90,000 in there. So this is what it's going to be this year, but from what I've heard, it's going to increase next year also. But this 38,000 will get us to the end of the year for dispatch contracts. Our next adjustment we have for the fire department, we have heating fuel. Kind of the same as IT, but if Chad wants to speak to that, we need about 16,000 in heating fuel to get us through for the fire department. The sewer fund also has a small deficit. We to date, we have $310 available in the heating fuel for the sewer department. Looking at how much we're going to need to cover for the next, portion of the year, 10,000. We might have to do one later on, but I think that'll be sufficient, at least for the next 3 months. The other larger portion of this fiscal note is just reconciling back to the audit for the changes in how we account for the healthcare fund. Previously, we had it as a liability, which didn't require a budget adjustment. But since the audit, we have changed to comply with GASB 10 and 50C, which requires that we create this fund. So this budget adjustment for the healthcare portion is just so that we can comply with the audit and go forward and comply with GASB so that we have that stuff budgeted for so that we can use it. We're currently doing the same thing. It's just going into a liability account. This lets us put it in the right account. And then I added, there was another budget, just streetlight maintenance. We've had a couple poles that have been down. We've had 2 pretty large invoices. We were able to do an administrative amendment to pay this bill, but streetlight maintenance, $3,500, that would give us enough if we had to pay another bill. So yeah. That's all. And if you have any questions, I'm free to ask, and I have all the support here if you guys want to review it.
Well, on those adjustments, are we going off what we did for last year? You add money, right?
The adjustments for what are you referring to for last
Any
year?
one of those,
Any, which one?
anyone.
Okay.
Are we looking back on last year to bring?
Oh, yes, I take a look at last year, but I also take a look at the first 6 months, and then like the IT services are, our IT bill went up from last year, right? So I take the first 6 months of this year, the bill is going to be the same. We need to have that amount to cover the next few months, right?
Okay.
So that, yep. Heating fuel was just one that I reviewed. We got $310 left in the sewer for heating fuel. We need an adjustment for that. $310 isn't going to pay for much fuel. So, yeah.
Councilman Williams, does that answer your question, sir?
I'll let you know later on.
Okay, that moves us on. Thank you for the staff report, Mr. Harlock. That moves us on to a call for public testimony. Do we have anybody in the room or online who would like to give public testimony to this? Okay, seeing none, it brings us to council discussion. I'd like to just thank you, Mr. Harlock, for putting this together. I know it's not easy, and there's a lot of big numbers and a lot of moving pieces with this budget, especially with fuel, electric, and then trying to keep us on track with our audit so that as a city, we're compliant and can get the credit that we need moving forward to help our city move forward. So I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Barring any further comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
An ordinance 2026-18 budget adjustment. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 7-0.
Thank you. That brings us on to item 13C, Resolution 2026. Can I get a motion, please, to approve?
Can that be 13D? Because we moved G all the way up to B.
It still remains as G, so they're still lettered the same. We just moved the order.
Okay.
We get a motion, please, to approve item C, Resolution 2026-13, please.
Motion to approve Resolution 2026-13, support for 2028 Arctic Winter Games.
Second Skips.
So moved and seconded. I'll give a staff report. The Arctic Winter Games, someone in the Northwest Territories, I believe, decided to not do the Arctic Winter Games in 2028. And Fairbanks found out about that and wanted to step into that position to make that happen. I was asked if I would support the Arctic Winter Games to be held in the interior, and I don't see why not. I think it pairs very well with the city's 75th anniversary and bringing people to the interior, to Fairbanks, to North Pole. Great for the economy, and it's an honor to even be thought about in that way. So I'm happy to bring this forth. That calls for public testimony. Do we have anybody in the room or online who would like to give public testimony? Thank you, Ms. Lane, for being here. Please state your name, your area of residence, and if you haven't signed in when you get done, if you wouldn't mind on the sign-in sheet. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Karen Lane. I live in North Pole. I was the general manager for the 2014 Arctic Winter Games in Fairbanks and the 2024 Arctic Winter Games in Matsu. And this is a great opportunity, as the mayor said. There'll be 2,000 participants, 2,000 volunteers. There'll be several volunteers that come from out of town, friends and family, and the staff of the 8 contingents. So we're talking a lot of people coming to the area in March 2028, hopefully. We will know for sure tomorrow morning. There's a decision being made, and it will be announced tomorrow morning. So again, the last time I was in Fairbanks was 2014. It is an $8 million economic impact to the state of Alaska, and so it is a big deal. And there are 20 sports. The proposal that was sent in to the International Committee was to have futsal in North Pole at North Pole High School and to have wrestling at North Pole Middle School. So utilizing those 2 schools, in which we also did in 2014. And so it does bring a lot of people to North Pole, along with the 75th anniversary and our wonderful town that people want to see.
For the biathlon, do they do that at Birch Hill, or is that going to be done out at Chena Lakes? Do we know if it goes through?
Well, there is a course at Birch Hill already in existence, so it's probably going to be at Birch Hill.
Just trying to drive as much as I can towards the North Pole area. So
Still had dog mushing, but dog mushing went away. So in 14, there was dog mushing, but there is no longer dog mushing, and archery was added.
thank you, Ms. Lane. Any questions? Please, Mr. Claus.
Thank you. I was one of the volunteers in the 2014 over at the middle school here, enjoyed it a lot. And even from the North Pole community Chamber of Commerce point of view, that's a nice little shot in the arm, as it were. And I think it might even have something good to do with the proposed building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Miss Lane? Thank you, Miss Lane. Thank you for joining us this evening. Anyone else signed up for public testimony, Madam Clerk?
No, I have no one online.
Okay, that brings us to council discussion. Please, Councilman Claus.
I had a blast at that. It went on for a while, and it was great. It was wonderful seeing all the people from different countries interacting in a very positive way. You know, no contention or anything aside from just the sporting events, but that was expected. But everybody, especially all the adults, got along just wonderfully well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Please, Councilman Skips.
Yeah, I also volunteered for that. It was, yeah, a lot of hours, volunteer hours. It was really good for community. A lot of my time I did at Lathrop in town. Made my way out here a few times to see some of the events, but yeah, no, it was a really good time.
Mr. Claus and Mr. Skip, since you have volunteered and the Arctic Winter Games is near and dear to your heart, would you like to co-sponsor this resolution to be able to submit to the International Winter Games?
Sure, happy to do it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the council who would like to also sponsor this? Councilwoman Rolfe and Councilman Schuster. Madam Clerk, would you mind adjusting that before we print the final document?
Of course.
Thank you. Any further discussion from council on this item? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On Resolution 2026-13, support for the 2028 Arctic Winter Games. Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Rolfe. Yes. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes and yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 7-0.
Thank you very much. That brings us on to 13D, a request to council. Need a motion, please, to approve.
Motion to approve request to council FECC contract renewal.
Second Skips.
So moved and seconded. Chief Heinegan, thank you for being here this evening. Staff report, please.
Yeah, this is a request to renew the contract with FECC, Fairbanks Emergency Communications Center, with the city of North Pole to provide dispatching for our fire and police departments. This contract would cover from July 1 of this year, which is, of course, a month behind us, through June 30th of next year. It is a renewal to the contract that we did in whole last fall. So on my memo, it breaks down the $358,340 total fee, and it does show what portion is fire and police. In both the police and fire departments, as you know, we both budget to cover our portions of that. I can take any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. This time we'll call for public testimony on this item. Is there anybody in the room or online who would like to speak to this? Brings us to council discussion. I'd like to kick it off, Chief. I know that as we have been going through the years, this FCC contract is amazing and they provide us a great service, but it's becoming more and more costly every year to the city. Do you anticipate seeing another large increase next year, the following years, or is it going to be on par with what we've seen the last couple of years?
So I'm expecting quite a bit of increase this next year. So this contract, I believe it came to the attention of the council previously that FECC was updating their business model, and they had projected to up our fees per call basis by about 40%. That didn't happen with these numbers. They got behind the power curve. They didn't get the contracts done in time, and they made the decision to stay at the current rate. So what you're seeing here for this next year is at the rates we've been paying over the last 5 years. They've assured me, I've actually met with the dispatch manager today, and they've assured me by next year they will have that business model completed. I expect between that increase, and then I know, like I'd mentioned in my report, that we're seeing a run volume increase over last year and this year. I expect maybe as much as 50% for the 27 contract of increase. It is getting expensive, but unfortunately, it's a service that we absolutely are in need of. It's a very valued service, and if we can go back into our history here at the city of North Pole, we used to have our own dispatch center. I would just ballpark, if we still had to have our own dispatch center, that would probably be somewhere between 1.5 to $2.5 million department of the city. That so this does have some financial benefit in doing this contract compared to doing it in-house, which we did 20 years ago.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Claus.
So Chief, I presume if we were to go back to doing it in-house, we would have this amazing cost for liability insurance associated with that.
Yes, that would all go into it. It would be actually very interesting to get firm data on what it would cost us to have our own dispatch center. Because like I said, I'm just ballparking 1.5 to 2.5. It might be far exceeding that considering the amount of liability insurance. I'm not sure the number of dispatch employees it would take. More than it back when we did it, 20 years ago, I believe we had 5 or 6 employees. It would more than double now to meet the volume that the PD and the fire department are using. So I just want to mostly point that out because as we watch this increase, it is hard to look at it increase, but we need to keep into perspective that it's a valuable service that they're providing us.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Brandt.
This is difficult. I'm not saying that. So I do want to continue using FECC. I don't think it's prudent for us to open our own dispatch back up. The problem I have with this contract and why I can't support it is we have to, the city residents have to pay the dispatch fee for mutual aid calls. So if North Star, for instance, calls us and we have to go on a mutual aid call, we have to pay that dispatch fee. They do not. I asked Chief Heineken to talk to them and the Fire Chiefs Association, or I forget the name. I apologize, Chad, about making that change. And he was upset thinking that I do not approve of mutual aid, and that is not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that if the troopers or North Star or anybody else calls for our assistance, I don't think they will have a problem paying the, what is it, $75 for that fee. And seeing that the vast majority of our calls are outside of the city limits, both for police and fire, the cost to the city residents, I don't think is fair. And on the opposite of that, if we need to call mutual aid from Eielson and North Star or from the troopers or whoever, I don't have a problem paying them. The costs are just going up and up and up on this. It is far cheaper than having our own dispatch center. All I'm saying is that I don't think it's fair to the residents and taxpayers that we have to pay the dispatch fee when somebody else calls us for help. And I will be voting no on this, not because I don't want to use FECC, because I do, but simply because I don't think it's fair to our residents to bear those costs.
And I absolutely respect your perspective on that. And there has been communication with dispatch, with Fairbanks managers and with the fire chiefs in talking that specific example as to, you know, mutual aid. If we get called out to a fire to go to the university fire department, you know, that does cost us a dispatch fee. So there is that talks that they could adjust that model possibly. But just so I'm clear here, we do in the big picture, we do very few mutual aids. The majority of the calls are our calls that we would be charged for. I think when I ran the numbers, and I have to go back, so I could probably get you firmer numbers, but I would say within a year, there's probably maybe 30 to 50 mutual aid calls that would apply to. The rest of the calls are our calls that we wouldn't be, you know, forgiven for. And then we would also be picking up when we did have fire alarms, fires, and things where we have other departments coming in, Eielson, Fort Wainwright, and North Star, the primary three we use, we would be picking up their dispatch fees, which would be close to similar numbers. So it becomes a wash, but it would be more true to the exact. If we gave mutual aid more times than we received, it definitely would make it completely fair. But there's not a big, it's not gonna change this number in any significant manner in the end. It would just make it that exact fair number rather than a ballpark.
Well, when we
If I
see-
may say, excuse me, Councilman Brand, I'll get to you in just a second. I'd like to say thank you for that. I think it's super important. People from Fairbanks, from the entire surrounding area, come into North Pole as a central hub. They spend their tax dollars here. They purchase things. They go out to dinner. They support our North Pole economy, and a small amount of mutual aid to support our friends, our neighbors, our friend's friend in a time of need. I think it's something we shouldn't bicker about over $75, $350, $3,000. What's a life worth? And thank you for taking that on and supporting mutual aid throughout the interior. Councilman Brent, please.
Again, I am not whatsoever in any way, shape, or form against mutual aid, Larry. I support it 100%. All I'm saying is that I do not believe it's fair to our taxpayers, our residents, to pay the dispatch fee when we are going outside of the city limits. We are providing our personnel, you know, paying their wages and benefits. We're providing the equipment that we have a much larger fire department than the city itself needs because of the mutual aid. Same thing with the police department. It's much larger because we spend so much time out of our city limits. I do have a problem with that too, but God forbid, you know, if we send somebody out of the city limits to do mutual aid, and you know, we wreck a police car or a fire truck, or somebody gets hurt or whatever, we're bearing those costs also. And again, I don't have a problem with the mutual aid. It's just when we're looking at $358,000 for dispatch, when the vast majority of our calls are outside the city limits. And earlier, when you were talking about the increase in call volume, I asked you, you know, if that's outside the city limits, and you verified that the majority of the calls are outside the city limits. The police, every single time they pull somebody over outside the city limits, that's another dispatch call. You know, in the last year, I can tell you I've seen 2 police cars on my road. Twice in the last year, I've seen a police car on my road. Every time I go down Plaque Road, I see a police car down on Plaque Road. We spend a lot of time outside of the city limits. I think if we're doing the trooper's job, they can pay the dispatch fee. I don't think that's asking a lot. And I mean, that would easily cut this total in half, I'm guessing.
May I respond to some of?
Yes, please.
I can't speak for the PD. I would have to get Chief Smith's on that. But for the fire department, using the terminology outside of the city, we've got to be careful with. All those calls that we're running outside of the city, very, very small amount are mutual aid. Those are North Pole City calls per contract. We have a contract with the Fairbanks North Star Borough that brings in, $900,000-ish every year. That is not running mutual aid calls. Those are calls that we would have to pay dispatch to cover. So I just wanted to correct that terminology of outside the city, because those are our calls that we are legally responsible to
Real
respond
quick,
to.
that's for the ambulance service that we provide for the borough, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those, obviously, because that's part of our contract with
Yep.
them.
I just wanted to make sure that
Right.
was clear, that
Right.
it is for the fire department. I can't speak for Chief Smith. I haven't looked at his numbers, but for the fire department, we don't run mutual aid daily. That's not something we're doing regularly. We do go on mutual aid calls, of course, but we also receive quite a, almost an equal amount. It is fairly mutual.
Thank you, Chief. Any further discussion? Please, Councilman Schuster.
Problem I have with this contract is seems like we get it late every year. And I'm not saying that's your fault, but it makes it hard for us to, make changes like Councilman Brandt's talking about that. I agree with him, but I feel obligated that we have to pass this or we might be out of service. And so that's where I struggle. It seems like every year this comes through, it's late. We're out of contract.
I agree.
I can speak to that. In, last December, January, I think it was, when they brought the extension to get us on to Fairbanks's fiscal year rather than North Pole, or the borough's fiscal year, basically. That's why we did the 6-month extension. We'd been out of contract for a year and a half at that point. Jed verified that if we did not sign that, it's not a big deal. We would still keep receiving the service. So I don't think that that's a problem. But again, I'm going to vote no tonight, but strictly because I would like to see that change made, not because I don't want to have this contract with them, and not because I don't agree with mutual aid. It's just I had asked for that change to at least be considered, and it was not.
And I can reassure you that the business plan that we're being involved, they've invited us to participate as fire chiefs in that business plan, and that specific topic about mutual aid being paid for by the entity calling is being discussed and reviewed. So for the 27 contract, that might be a factor.
Thank you, Chief. Please, Councilwoman Rolfe.
Do you know what percentage the fire department call makes up of this versus police?
I don't know the percentage, but on my memo that was in the packet breaks it down to the dollar amount. And basically it's a very simple formula they use to come up with this at this time. They take the 2-year average run volume, and for the fire department, it's $70 a call. And for the police department, I believe it's $40 a call. It's a very simple formula they use. So it would get a little bit more complex to bring other factors into that, but it will ebb and flow depending on if PD has a slow year and we have a busy year, or vice versa.
Councilman Brandt.
I did look at it. It's about 5 times the call volume for police than fire.
Thank you, Councilman Brandt. Please, Councilwoman Rolfe, I'm sorry I missed your follow-up.
I had a follow-up to that. You may not be able to answer it. It might be something I need to send to Chief Smith. I know you're talking about mutual aid as far as fire goes. What about calls we're taking? Because I know Chief Smith has talked about this. We take calls that the troopers can't because there's not a trooper nearby. Is that being discussed as part of it as well?
That would be a question for Chief Smith. I'm not sure how that applies on the law enforcement side.
In an email.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the dispatchers for the job that they do. They provide an excellent service to the city of North Pole. On my way down Nordale Road this weekend and the sideswipe accident, North Pole Police and fire, actually fire was there first and EMS, about 2 minutes behind North Star. I'd like to thank your guys and your team for that service, and police were there 3 minutes after that to handle traffic and deal with everything that happened there. And I'm thankful that the city of North Pole can go outside the boundaries and take care of those citizens that do visit our city. Madam Clerk, with that, please call the roll.
On the request to council FECC contract renewal, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
No.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mayor Turch.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
Pass 6-1.
Thank you very much for that. That brings us on to item E. Can I get a motion, please, to approve?
Motion to approve request to council remount refurbished ambulance 27.
Second. Skips. Thank you, council folks. That brings us on to a staff report. Please, Chief Heineken.
Yeah, as all of you know, that we are looking at this new process of coming up with a new ambulance, new-ish. This is a new process we're looking into, which is called a remount refurbish. I had spoke about it several months ago in council that we were looking into this, and we're prepared now. We've been working with Braun Northwest, and the plan is, upon your approval, is we would send ambulance 27, which is a 2013 wheeled coach ambulance, to their facility in Washington, where they remove the box from our current ambulance. They strip it down, recondition it, and then they bring in a brand new chassis. And they use that same box on top of that chassis. This is becoming more and more common throughout the United States. It's across the board pretty close to about a 30 to 33% savings over purchasing the entire thing brand new. It saves them the material costs and the labor because they hand build those boxes at the factory. So the fact that they can reuse the box structure from an older ambulance saves them time and material, which they obviously pass on to us. So this is a request for us to use Braun Northwest, and as when we've purchased fire trucks in the past, we've used cooperative purchasing agreements to meet our procurement processes. We're proposing to use Houston Galveston Area Council, HGAC, as that cooperative purchasing agreement. Braun Northwest does have a contract through HGAC that would apply to this, but this is part of the approval I'm asking from the council, that this would approve us to do both, use HGAC to meet our procurement processes. I did go over it with our CFO here before getting this onto your agenda to make sure he was on board and was fully aware of what we were looking at doing. And then it would okay us to spend this money, which currently we have $250,000 remaining in this year's fleet fund budget for the fire department that would cover this. I don't believe we would see any billing in this year, though. I believe this would be 2027 before we saw any billing for that. So obviously, once this would be approved, I'd get those details ironed out with Braun Northwest, and we probably would budget for that in the 27 budget.
Thank you for that report. That brings us to a call for public testimony. Is there anybody in the room or online who would like to give public testimony to this item? Mr. Rolfe, welcome. Please state your name. If you haven't already filled out the sign-up sheet, please take care of that. State your name and area of residence, and you have 5 minutes.
Adam Rolfe, I live on Lake Drive. I just had one question. Does this include shipping?
Yes, it does. Yes. There and back.
Perfect.
Yeah.
No, that was my only question. I didn't see that in there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rolfe. Appreciate that question. Anyone else signed up for public testimony, Madam Clerk?
I have no one online.
Brings us to council discussion. Councilman Brent.
I have several questions. One, since it is over $100,000, our code says that it has to go out to competitive bid. You're saying the procurement process that we're using takes care of that,
Yeah,
correct?
if you approve that, that is something that only the council, just like when we ordered the fire truck in January, we used Sourcewell is that contractor that we used. This is it's a different one. It's HGAC, but it's the same similar process that that is upon your approval. If it is your right to say, no, we want to go out to bid. And then we would go out to bid. It would delay the process, and I'm not sure how long that would take or what benefit that would have. But that is definitely within the council's right to say, no, we're going to stay with our normal procedures and go out to bid. I personally, we've used HGAC in the past, and we've used Sourcewell in the past. It's worked out extremely efficient, and that's what I'm recommending. But I leave it to your judgment.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Williams. Do you have a follow-up? I'm sorry.
I said I had several questions, yes.
Please continue, Councilman Brandt.
So as far as the shipping, I see that that basically they're going to fly somebody up here and drive it down there. Is that correct?
No, it'll actually be put on a flatbed most likely and shipped down as a whole. It has to be in drivable condition to get itself on and off of the barge type of thing. But yeah, it won't be driven on its wheels from here to Washington.
Okay, because here it says picking up the vehicle in North Pole, so I thought that meant somebody. But then they're shipping it to Washington, and this includes airfare for two people to go down there and inspect it. At that point, will it be put on a barge or something and shipped up to Anchorage?
It'll be shipped back point to North Pole. It'll come right to our station.
Okay.
The inspection for the two people is pretty common when we're buying apparatus of this nature. We want to make sure it's correct before it makes it to Alaska. So we do a final inspection on it. So we'll actually take two personnel from the fire department, they fly them down there under this to inspect the vehicle before it's okayed to ship north.
But they're not driving it back up here, is what I'm saying.
It'll be shipped. Yeah.
The other question is we're going to be reusing the old box, basically. Is there any modifications that you're going to want to do to that, you know, through the years that you found that something just isn't working, and is that included in this?
Every modification is included in this, and they're very minor. It's updating lighting packages, updating certain things, but no major modifications. We're pretty happy with what we've used. I mean, and we've been using that same box since the 90s. I mean, the same layout of the box is since the 90s, and it is very user-friendly. Our staff absolutely have drawn towards that compared to that type 2 van ambulance that we have in service. You know, that they definitely have vocalized that it's their preference to have that bigger box.
Okay, and final question, a brand new ambulance now would be 440 or something like that, is that correct?
Like I said, you could add 30 to 35% onto this number here is about what it would cost to get from Braun Northwest to get one of their ambulances. So I'm not great with on the fly math, but so
it's fine. I just remember the last time we looked at buying an ambulance, I thought it was going to be over 400 or
it was over 300 that last wheel coach one we were looking at. And this, I would guess, just looking at that rough math, is probably going to be in the mid $300,000 range for if we were to just order a brand new ambulance from this manufacturer.
And then you've decided you don't like that smaller, the Sprinter style. It just didn't work for us, right?
It's got pros and cons. I mean, it is really good in a lot of ways. Some of the positives that it has is it has way better heat in the deep cold than our other bigger ambulances. Those are harder to heat. So our crews are actually turning the heat down at 30 below rather than trying to make more heat. For learning to drive it for these younger apprentices that we're hiring, they gravitate towards driving it very well because it's a little bit smaller. It gets fairly decent fuel mileage. The maintenance, we've had some issues. We're having a rear door issue with it right now, but nothing major maintenance wise. But what we've found with surveying the staff is it does everything pretty well until they have a critical call with a critical patient. And that's where the red flags have come up. There's just not enough room when they have those critical patients. And for me, as the fire chief, that's the number one priority of that ambulance, is to do very well when somebody's life is in danger. It does well taking somebody with a stubbed toe to the hospital. No problem. You know, some of these more routine calls we have, it does it wonderfully. But if we're actively stopping bleeds, saving lives, the crew are reporting that it is cumbersome inside that ambulance because we're adding more personnel to the back of that ambulance.
Thank you.
Councilman Williams, you're up next. Into the microphone, if you would, please, Councilman Williams.
He answered one of my questions, but I have two questions for you now. Would they change the tires on it for us, as well as do we have to do an engine overhaul, you think?
So the only thing we're reusing is the actual square box on the back of the ambulance.
Yeah.
Everything else is brand new. It'll be a brand new Ford F450, brand new engine, transmission, rear end, tires, cab. Yeah, everything else is a brand new Ford chassis.
Got it.
Do you have a follow-up? You said you had two questions, Councilman Williams.
I did answer him. You did.
Gotcha. Okay. Please, Councilman Skips.
So with the refurb versus brand new, what's the time difference versus, I know brand new, they're like year and a half, 2 years out.
And this is the surprising part, is less than a year. I'm expecting if we get this ordered this fall, that we would have it next summer.
Yeah, and I know there's different industries that do the same thing, like armored cars. They keep the box, new chassis, because the box is just so hard to get and hard to make. And they make upgrades just like you're gonna do. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it seems like a good idea.
Chief, I'd just like to say thank you for thinking outside the box, trying to save our city some money. Very much appreciative of that.
Yeah, and that is the end goal. We want a product that we can use to save lives and do it as financially responsible as we can.
Appreciate that. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the request of council to remount refurbish ambulance 27, Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 7-0.
Thank you. That brings us on to item 13F, appointment of city clerk authorized to extend offer. Can I get a motion, please? Or Madam Clerk, if I may ask a question first. In making that motion, do we need to deal with that first, or the reconsideration that Councilman Claus has put in from the work session, or do we deal with that at the exact same time since it's the exact same item?
If you guys want to discuss the reconsideration first.
Yes, we do. Okay. Councilman Claus.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the reconsideration part, I had a couple of things. One, I'm not sure that that work session was in order. And two, I'm not sure if we're able to vote for whoever it is we might want to see as the city clerk right now. So I think it has more to do with the city code, and at least from my perspective, I just think that that work session was a little bit out of order. Also, I keep seeing in all these documents that I've been reviewing for what we have in front of us now and voting on this, the way the city clerk is being put forth in these current documents makes it appear as though the city clerk is being supervised and reports to whoever the mayor happens to be. And it's actually supposed to be to the city council as a body, not necessarily to the mayor as an individual. And that would include any prospective um, evaluations of their work, that kind of stuff. So that's why I wanted this reconsidered, because I'm not sure the rest of the council is taking this into consideration. Mayor, thank you.
You bet. So during that, Councilman Claus, you brought up a couple of points. You brought up the fact that as a working group, we can't vote, and you felt like it was out of order. We weren't out of order. We were a committee of the whole, which is allowed. We can take vote. We can move things forward to the council, in which we did vote to do that. So we were in perfect order there and totally well within our code to take care of that. For your second concern, the mayor being the supervisor of the clerk, it has become very clear by you and the entire council, along with our attorney, that the clerk is supervised by the entire council. So whoever that person is has the unfortunate job or fortunate job of having 7 bosses every single day that they get to answer to, rather than just a singular person based on our attorney's understanding of our code and of our charter. So thank you for making that perfectly clear. Would you like to move forward with a reconsideration, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes.
Okay. So please, Councilman Schuster.
I had a question on what document Mr. Claus was referring to.
May I respond?
Please, Councilman Claus.
All right. One of the documents in the advertisement, it asks for people to send their applications to the mayor rather than to the HR person, for example. Also, in a document dated 2021, it has, it talks about, this is the duties of the city clerk that was formulated back then. So it has other duties assigned by the city council, not by the mayor necessarily. Then we've got the city charter, 2.16.050. The charter and duties as assigned by city council doesn't single out the mayor. On section 5.5, city clerk, A shall be the clerk of the council, and it pretty much limits it to shall attend all meetings of the council. Doesn't say anything about committees, for example. Elections and other duties as may be required of him or her by law, by the council, or by code. So anyway, those are some of the references. And the ad that did come out was saying advertisement language. It says, quote, see the complete job description, obtain an application by visiting www.northpolealaska.org, or, which should have been .com, or by contacting Mayor Turch at City Hall, or by email, mayor@northpoleak.gov. So it just seems to me that this, I don't know if that answers the question or not, but it seems to sort of support my point that the mayor did address by saying what the attorney, our city attorney, has said, and what I've kind of keep bringing up from time to time.
So Councilman Claus,
Quick follow-up.
yeah, please.
What would reconsidering change in that?
I would reconsider, and you've already addressed this, Mayor, the nature that I don't think the workshop was to code, but that's already been addressed. Thank you.
Councilman Claus, I would urge you that if you need documents that are up to date and current and not from 2021, you could speak with our clerk, who also our acting clerk, who also happens to be HR, and she can update you with something more current than 2021 standards as we have moved forward in this process.
Thanks, Mayor. I have seen those.
Great. Okay. Well, I don't know why you're using an outdated version of an old job description then to try and apply that to the clerk's position currently. To
Addressing intent. Thank you.
Okay. To speak to the fact as to why applications were sent to me, that was done in case our current acting city clerk wanted to apply for that position. So as HR, who typically receives applications, it would be unjust to her to know exactly who her competition was if she was to receive those applications. If you could have come up with a better way to do it, Councilman Claus, I'd be all ears, but that was the best that our city staff came up with at a staff meeting. So thank you for the question.
Thanks. I would have presented it to the entire city council.
And that's exactly how it went down. Thank you, Councilman Claus. So would you like to move forward with your reconsideration, sir?
I would like to reconsider the previous vote to approve the workshop. And I don't think it should be approved as a workshop. I think it should be null and void. Thank you.
Noted. Councilman Brandt, you had a question.
I just want to say that
I don't know if we need a second on a reconsideration, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, there'd be a roll call on the reconsideration. I'm not sure. But is the motion to reconsider or illegitimize the work session?
I believe that's what's suggested. In the workshop, we put forth an authorization and vote with a majority of the work session folks to move forth with a job contract for whoever that new city clerk was that we chose to have that in line for this meeting, which was voted on at that workshop to move that to this council meeting. I am unaware. I believe he is not. I believe he stayed online. Would you, I certainly can, if council would like to have him on. Okay.
I don't.
Oh, is he on the call still?
No, he is not on the call, but I believe that we could get him on the call. Okay. Okay.
Can we just reconsider the vote?
That's what I pulled up the notice of reconsideration. And the notice of reconsideration is regarding the city council's direction during the work session. So I believe that would have to be the motion for reconsideration.
Yeah, that would be my motion. Okay.
I'll second that.
So moved and seconded. Before we move on any further, Madam Clerk, please, discussion, Councilman Brandt.
So for reconsidering the vote that we took at the end of the evening,
The discussion should just be on whether or not we should reconsider the vote. So this is
That's
just
not
on the
what-
motion for reconsideration.
that's not what
We can't
he-
discuss the vote unless reconsideration is passed.
Thank you for that clarification, Councilwoman Rolfe. That is correct. So is that to your point, Councilman Brandt?
I would like to discuss that vote, so yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Madam Clerk, seeing no further discussion, please call the roll on reconsideration of that vote.
On the reconsideration regarding North Pole City Council's direction on 7/29/26 during a scheduled city council workshop to its city attorney to draft an employment contract for whoever the new city clerk may be. Ms. Rolfe?
No.
Mr. Skips?
No.
Mr. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Church?
No. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 4-3.
Excellent. So that moves us on to the appointment of city clerk, item F that we have in front of us.
Oh, we just reconsidered so we can discuss a vote. So I would like to discuss the vote that we took at the end of the evening, at the end of the workshop. The majority council voted to approve allowing the mayor and our city attorney to draft an employment contract for the city clerk. And all I have to say about that is no other employee in the city has an employment contract. We cannot offer this new person anything more or less than is what is in our code. It doesn't make sense to hire our attorney and pay him to just basically cut and paste code for us. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Kimmel, but is that a normal process when we're hiring any employee in the city is to draft an employment contract with them?
We don't have any current employee contracts.
Correct. So again, we can't put anything in a contract that's not already in code. It doesn't make sense to waste the time and money having our attorney draft an employment contract. So I would make a motion to I'm not sure how to phrase it, but just to strike that vote.
That's exactly what reconsideration did, Councilman Brandt. So that vote is no longer there. So that action passed, and that action by all occurrences hasn't taken place. So now we are discussing as a council the fact that that piece of business is removed from any vote. That has been approved and passed, and now we are moving on to the appointment of the city clerk.
Okay, so
an
I just want
authorization
to
to
clarify. May I clarify, please? So we are not going forward with drafting a contract for this employee. Is that correct?
No, we have already moved forward with a draft employee contract for this employee. And I'm glad you asked the question about, have we ever done this before? Because we haven't. Prior to our current attorney, it was the understanding of our attorneys that the mayor was the direct supervisor of every department head inside the city. And our current attorney is following the code with the letter of the law. And per our charter and city ordinances, the entire council is the direct supervisor day to day of the clerk. So with that being new, it was suggested by the attorney that we have a contract because it's the only employee in the entire city who has 7 direct bosses to talk to, ask with, and to provide them in that contract portions of city code that do make sense and apply to that. And then also correcting in that contract any language in our city charter that relates to the mayor or possible city manager, that doesn't apply at all to the clerk, that the council is that person's, that job description's direct supervisor. So when we updated the job description, we had that. A follow-up, Councilman Brandt, or is this a different?
We cannot update charter without a vote of the people. So no matter what he puts in the contract, we can't update the charter. If we need to put in our code that the clerk works for the council and not the mayor, that would be an appropriate thing to do rather than put it in a contract for one person. Because if then it goes into our code, then it's in there going forward.
So it's already in there. So thank you,
Then
Councilman
why do
Brandt.
we need a contract saying that?
Councilman Claus.
Thank you, Mayor. So what I had mentioned before when I was quoting code was 2.16.050 city clerk duties. And it says the city clerk shall have all duties, and this is in our code, duties assigned in section 5.5 of the city charter and other duties as assigned by a city council. And then I referred to section 5.5, and a portion of it says the city clerk or authorized representative shall be clerk of the council. Then it goes to attending all meetings of the council, et cetera, and then goes down to calling and supervision of all city elections and other duties in connection with his office may be required of him by law or by the council or by the code. So that's already in our code. So we don't need the attorney, I think, to write out pretty much anything. We've already got it here.
No, I understand that. It's just making it very clear to whoever that city clerk is that they have 7 bosses and that the mayor is not their direct supervisor. They answer to the council and council only. And even on day to day, the mayor has no charge of that clerk in any way, shape, or form. Other directors, other department heads, yes, but not the clerk according to the way the code is written and the charter is understood.
Thank you. So as far as the reconsideration goes, I presume we do not need the city attorney to do anything with this. Thank you.
You betcha. You're welcome. It was the attorney's idea based on his prior experiences with city clerks in multiple cities and boroughs, that with the language that we have in our charter and our code, that we present a contract to our city clerk.
Thank you. I get your point. Presuming, let's say, hypothetically speaking, the city attorney does draw up a contract for whoever the city clerk will be. If they do that, I presume the entire council, all the members of the council would have to approve the language in that contract and vote on that to make sure that that's acceptable to everybody, not just you and not just the mayor and the city attorney, but all the council people, city attorney and mayor agree on a contract. That seems, as far as the attorney's advice goes, that might fly, but I think the city council should be involved in what specifically is in that contract before the contract goes out to be signed, either by the mayor or by the new city clerk. Does that make sense?
Not at all, but I understand your point. Thank you, Councilman Claus. Any further discussion? Okay, we are still on item F. Can I get a motion, please, for the appointment? Please. Yeah, please.
I would like to make a motion to appoint the city clerk and extend offer.
I'll second that. Thank you, Mr. Skips. I think we've had a fairly robust staff report. We actually need to call for public testimony on that first, but thank you for trying to move that along, Councilman Brandt. Is there anybody signed up online or in the room who would like to give public testimony to that item? Okay. With that, that brings us to council discussion. Please, Councilman Brandt.
I'd like to make a motion to.
Sorry, a motion is already on the table.
Okay.
To approve.
Approve what?
My motion was to appoint a city clerk and extend an offer.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I will concur. Councilman Brandt.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Derek Ball, the North Pole City Clerk, and extend him an offer.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Do we have anybody signed up for public testimony? Brings us to council discussion. I would like to just say thank you to both applicants for applying. And I hope you watch these meetings and kind of know what you're in for. Appreciate that. Please, Councilman Schuster.
I would just like to put on put on the record too that, like you said, I appreciate both applicants. I think in any other circumstance, both candidates were great, but being inside the city, what the other applicant dedicated to the city, living inside the city, that means something to me, and so it was a hard decision to that I'm going to vote the other way. And I appreciate her time and her effort.
Thank you, Councilman Schuster. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion to appoint Derek Ball as city clerk and extend an offer, Ms. Rolfe,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
No.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote?
That passed 6-1.
Okay. With that, I would like to roll back into item 8B and ask Mr. Laffy Skips to come forward for the presentation of his 5-year pin since he is now with us. Thank you for your dedication to North Pole football. Go Patriots. And I have asked your dad to present you with this award.
Hello, City of North Pole.
Into the mic, if you would, please.
So this is presented to Lafayette Falitu Skips in grateful recognition of the 5 years of dedicated service in North Pole Utilities Department. On this day, August 10th, 2026, the City of North Pole sincerely thanks you for your commitment, hard work, and loyalty. Signed, Mayor Larry Turch, July 23rd, 2026.
Love that very much. Thank you, Council, for allowing me to circle back around, Laffy, and thank you for joining us and everything you do for our utility department. I see you moving around the city. You're all over the place, and we appreciate that. Thank you. 5 more years. Hopefully, I'll be here for your 10-year pin. All right. With that, it finishes up our evening and brings us to item 14, council comments excluding the mayor. Before I get to that, I'm going to take 2 minutes here and say thank you to Girls Who Weld. I don't know if the rest of the council is going to hop on here and give them any props. But Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind following me, I'd just like to present what they have done this year. North Pole High School girls got together with Peter Daly and did bike racks for the city of North Pole and North Pole area. They did a 2-week class with Mr. Daly and made this. Like to thank Mr. Daly, Fast Planning, and the Girls Who Weld 2026, who are from North Pole, who made, decorated, got to run the CNC machines and paint these beautiful, beautiful bike racks that we are working on distributing throughout the city of North Pole to local businesses, parks, and places where bikes should be chained down, so we don't get an additional FCC call. I would like to just say thank you to Girls Who Weld and very much appreciative of their effort. So thank you. Item 14, council comments excluding the mayor.
Mr. Schuster,
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Claus,
We have elections coming up. Please vote. Please check your calendars for the different dates. Thank you.
Mr. Brandt,
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Rolfe,
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Skips,
Yeah, I just want to thank both applicants who applied for the clerk position. It was really tough. And shout out to Girls That Weld. Those look really good, really nice. Thank you.
Mr. Williams,
I'll pass for tonight.
Move to adjourn.
So moved and seconded. 9:24. Thank you for joining us this evening.